Hey everybody, this is Jim Haig. Welcome to Truth Seeking Souls. Okay, you ever trust your intuition? Yeah, intuition will get you far. You know, it amazes me how we kind of look for answers from without. Whether we look it from our books, our media, social media, God forbid. But here we are now. We have a beautiful young lady over here who's going to tell us how that we have the answers within. And I have here Susan Goodson, right? Am I getting that
Right,
Okay,
right.
and you are a life coach and you train people about seeking answers from within our intuition. And you are also the author of 4 books.
I am.
You are a successful sales lady for Mary Kay. You did get that majestic pink car.
I did. The
What
pink
I would
Cadillac.
do to have that. I would love that. But yeah, so I've known you for many, many years, and you've always impressed me by your presence, your spirit, your aura, and the fierce competitor that you are. But yet you're one of the nicest, kindest women I've ever met. But you are fierce. You want to win.
I
So
do.
what's the secret? How do you get all your answers? What do you do for people?
Well, thank you for inviting me to be a part of your podcast. What do I do? Well, let me go back to the beginning. I'm the oldest of five. I was raised in an alcoholic home. I had a dad who was very violent and a mother who was very scared. And I learned survival coping skills as a child. So part of what was good and bad were the skills that I learned to protect myself. So I became very independent. I decided that money was the answer. I've since learned that money's not the answer, but back then it was. And I started putting resumes through door slots when I was 11 and telling them what I did. And I started getting jobs and I started babysitting and I started making my own money. And so I guess I've been an entrepreneur since I was 11. Um, and then I got married and, had 3 children. I was in Mary Kay Cosmetics. My husband decided he didn't want to be married anymore, so he left. Kids were 2, 3, and 7. So I had to learn to be a fierce fighter, not only for my kids, but to be the home, to be the breadwinner.
Oh,
And then I married again, and my second husband ended up in jail for trying to manufacture meth in the garage.
oh,
And it was the kids that brought me the drug paraphernalia, and they said, "You need to do something." So, with the help of a friend, I went to the police. And they came home and they searched the garage and they arrested him. So yet again, I had to stand up and say, I will fight for what I know is right and I will protect my family. But I wasn't going to give up. I was taught how to be focused. I was taught, well, actually, maybe I wasn't taught. Maybe I learned it because I had to. And then so after that man went to jail, I married again, and my current husband is 20 years older than I am. He used to write for television.
mhm.
He was a writer and producer, and currently he's legally blind. He can't walk without a walker, so I'm now a caregiver
Mhm.
for my husband while I still have a responsibility to live my life too. So it's complicated, but it's not.
Mhm.
It's learning how to do the next indicated step. It's the idea of the more I think about it, the worse it becomes.
But the hurdles, I was not aware of these hurdles.
Oh,
Hurdles are pretty deep. The first husband was actually the easiest one.
he was.
He just kind of left, but the second husband was enormously dangerous.
He
That could have
was.
gone really bad. If there was gangs involved and bad people involved,
Yep.
And of course, you're married to your current husband now, who obviously is the best of the best. But I'm just saying that you that's how did you keep your composure? I mean, how did you manage to save your children?
Well, my children ended up struggling with addiction,
Okay.
and I wrote a book about it.
I read that book. Can you tell us the title of the book?
Yes, it's called Letting Go of Shame,
Hmm.
A Mother's Journey Raising Addict Children.
Yeah.
And I learned through a 12-step program for those of us who love alcoholics and addicts,
Hmm.
um, that I had to redefine the concept of love.
Hmm.
I thought love meant worry. I thought love meant getting them an apartment, paying their bills, taking care of them. But as they became young adults, I realized that all that was doing was perpetuating the pain that I was feeling and the lack of consequences that they were getting to learn. So, and it was really hard. It is really hard for a mother who births these children and to look at them and turn away,
Right.
to say, I'm sorry, but you have to figure this out. I love you, but no, I'm not coming. I'm not paying your bail. No, I'm not coming to your court appearance. No. Um, all of the kids now are doing fantastic. I
Good.
mean, my daughter is 20 years clean of meth. My
Nice.
oldest son now works for the railroad. My youngest son is one of the top people in sales. That would not have happened if I kept enabling them to continue in their disease. It really broke my heart
And
to say to them, I
that is
can't
so
do it.
powerful. That is so powerful you to say that, because I can't tell you how many mothers would just run
I know,
to the court hearings. They would run to get the money to bail them out. They would run to do whatever it takes. I know parents who give money to their children who are homeless.
I know,
I'm
I
like, what
know.
are you doing?
They don't understand. What I came to understand is it was my own heartache
Mhm.
that I had to come to terms with. I had to make friends with my heartache so that I could let my kids make friends with theirs. Because if my kids were homeless, and my son was for a while, he was living in a van with his girlfriend and going to food lines. If if he was hurting bad enough,
Mhm.
he would make different choices. But as long as I kept feeding him, he never had to do anything different.
Exactly. Exactly.
I have an example. He was living with his girlfriend. He was in his early 30s, I think, and he came to us and he said it's not working. And so my husband and I talked and we said, okay, you can move back in for 30 now for 3 months.
Mhm.
You got to maintain your job. You can go to school online. You got to save your money. And he said, what if that doesn't work? And I said, you'll never be homeless. And so 3 months later, he knocked on the door and he said, okay, it's not working. I'm moving. So for the 3 months he lived here, he was never here. He was always at his girlfriend's house. So I'm like, this is not working. You are not living up to what you agreed. So you can't stay here. And that's when he said, well, what if it doesn't work with her? I said, you'll never be homeless. And Jim, he came home one day and said, okay, it's not working. I'm moving back in. And I said, I changed my mind. And he said, you did what? I said, I realized that letting you move back in here isn't going to help you and it's not going to help me. He slammed the door. He cussed at me. He told me he hated me. He left. And I thought, I may never speak to him again.
Mhm.
And you know what? I learned to be okay with that.
Oh,
I learned to be okay with that because if he continued in his disease and I was part of that,
yeah.
people say, well, what if he had an overdose and died? And like every time my son gets in a car and drives 55 miles down a freeway that doesn't have a middle divider, what's to keep a car from driving across the middle line? I can't control that.
Right.
And now the kids come back and say, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. They say that it's the courage I had that gave them a chance to change their own lives.
You're good.
I couldn't change it for them.
And with all that happening, you still became a top salesman. How did you separate your home life from your business life?
Well,
I mean,
for
was
a
that
long,
happening? Was that
well,
happening?
yes, that was happening because I was keeping the secret that my children, I was ashamed.
Mm-hmm.
I was afraid that if women knew that my children were using drugs or spending money on stolen credit cards or going to jail,
Mm-hmm.
they would never do business with me.
Okay.
But what happened is when I started telling the truth,
Mm-hmm.
people started to tell their truth and they started to say, "Oh, I have a child that is involved with drugs too."
Ooh.
Or my clients would say, "Oh, I have a son that's in jail now." And I'm like, "Oh." And my business actually got better the more authentic I became.
Okay.
They were not ashamed of me. I was. And we carry so many secrets that that when it finally comes out, the shame gets worse. So I decided I was just going to start telling the truth.
Caleb.
If they buy from me because I have a perfect life, okay. And if they don't buy from me because I have challenges with my children, then God and the universe will take care of that too.
Mm-hmm.
So I ended up being in the top 5 of all the sales directors in one of the seminars. I was probably in the top 100 of all the sales directors in the company more than once. And that was really scary for me to be that visible.
Mm-hmm.
There was a part of me that wanted to run and hide and just say, "Send me my prize."
Mm.
But I showed up anyway.
But in the back of your mind, all that stuff that's happening at home with the drug addiction and the shits, all that stuff was happening, but you managed to kind of like stay focused.
I did. I did what was in front of me.
How did you do that? Besides, I mean, you can't totally block it out, but I mean, I'm just wondering
No,
how you
but
were able to do that.
I every day I made a choice. Like, for example, my daughter called me while I was at a leadership conference in Houston, and she said, my older son, she said he wants to go into treatment. Dad needs your credit card. Give me your credit card. He wants to put $1,800 on it. And I went, no. I learned the power of the pause, which means I step back and I say, "Give me the information and let me get back to you."
Okay.
So I can take a breath, so I can process what's happening. I'm thinking, no, I'm not going to give her my credit card number. Am I willing to pay half of this bill? What does that look like? So, in the next 24 hours, in between going to classes and taking my notes, I took some quiet time and I thought, if I don't do this, will I regret it?
Mm-hmm.
And I thought I would. So I let my son know that I would help this time and I would help. This was it. This was make it or break it. I will never help you this way again, ever. And then I called my ex-husband and I said, "Here's the information." Um, and he went through treatment. But what happens is I learned not to react. See, when something triggers me, and this happened as kids, anytime something would trigger my fear, instead of stopping, I would immediately react.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same thing if somebody triggers you on Facebook and you get into a fight because you don't stop. You just like, "Oh man, I'm going to tell you what I think." And then you keep it going back and forth. I learned to go quiet for a little while. And if somebody says, "Can you do this?" Because I'm a yes girl, I'm a people pleaser. That was one of my defects. I wanted everybody to like me. So no matter what you wanted or needed, I'd do it. And now I say, let me think about it. Let me pray about it. I don't say yes all the time anymore. because I recognized it was only because I didn't feel good enough inside of me. And if I did everything for everyone,
Hmm.
maybe they would like me.
And so you was able to apply those to getting a very successful career at Mary Kay. You got that pink car, as we mentioned before. And
Yeah,
then you just decided to drift off onto something else.
I did. When this was the same year that my mother passed away. So that was 6 years ago. I was seeing a therapist and she said, "Have you ever thought about being a life coach?" And I'm like, "A what?" And she goes, "A life coach." And I'm like, "What's a life coach?" And she said, "It's somebody that helps people navigate through situations in their lives where they might be confused or not understand." I said, "No, I'm not going to be a life coach. I'm a Mary Kay director. No, I'm a lifer. I'm never leaving Mary Kay, ever."
Yeah.
And she said, "Okay, I was just saying." And then when my brother got cancer, we went to San Francisco, and one of my sister-in-laws said, "Have you ever thought about being a counselor?" And I'm like, "Would you all leave me alone? Stop it. No, I'm not going to be a counselor. I'm not going to be a life coach. I'm a Mary Kay girl forever." But then I started to ruminate about this, and I thought, well, see, I understand today that God and the universe brings messages to me.
Hmm.
I either get to listen to them and start asking questions, or I can ignore them. Well, this was the second time. So I thought, all right, maybe I'll look at it. Until everything they said sounded wonderful. And so I signed up in July. They said I had it was a 6 month program, but you could take a year if you needed to. And then in September, my mother died. In October, my husband got pneumonia. In November, he started falling. In December, he needed a heart procedure. And everything felt like it was coming against me. Everything, every situation said, "No, don't do it, don't do it, don't do it." And I thought, there must be something really, really powerful going on here for there to be so much pushback for what I have decided to do. So I didn't quit. I thought, no, I am going to see this to the end. And I finished it in April,
Wow.
and I got and then I went through the mastery program,
Hmm.
and I've been a coach ever since.
I think that personally, I would want a coach that went through the same trauma, the same experience. It's hard to find that because most life coaches I know, they're just, okay, I'm going to be a life coach. They never went through the rigmarole. They never went through fire. They never
Yep,
went through any of this stuff like you did. You had, I mean, my goodness, it could have been a bigger tragedy than it already was. I mean,
exactly.
you could have lost all three of your children. You could have lost your one, both husbands or something. I mean, it's just you went through a lot, so I can't think of anybody more qualified because your story is probably more devastating than most of your
Mhm.
clients.
Some of my coaches friends say, "How could I be a good coach when I haven't lived through anything like you?" And I said, "Well, you offer people an experience. Not everybody goes through trauma like I did. So not everybody's going to relate to what I have to offer. But those that understand go, oh, yeah, mm, I get it." And those are the people that I help, are the ones that go,
Do you
now,
do you often blame? I'm sorry, I have to ask this. Do you often blame the universe for what you went through?
never,
Okay.
never, because my mindset is more about everything that's happened in my life happened for me.
Well,
It happened for my evolution. It happened for my growth. It happened so that today I can step in to help others. If I thought that the universe did it to me, then I would be wearing a label of victim. And I want to point out that a very dear friend of mine said to me, she said, You need to recognize that you were victimized,
Mhm.
but you don't have to carry the label of victim
Mhm.
because so many people want to shut out what happened. They're like, oh, no, 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 I'm not going to think about it. I'm not going to think about it. Well, just because you don't think about it doesn't mean it isn't affecting your life today. Your choices oftentimes are choices based on your woundedness. So if you don't look at it and you don't do the work to heal it, you will continue to think that the universe is conspiring against you. And it's like, then you wear that label of nothing good happens, nothing's ever going to happen that's good. I'm always, it's like, no, you just need to change your glasses. Change your glasses.
Uh,
So, no, I don't blame God or the universe. Now, has it, have I argued with God over this? Oh, you bet I have.
mhm.
I had numerous conversations about, hey, wait a minute, listen up, this is not right. And today I have a relationship with God where he's totally okay with whatever I say. He's like, I get it. I know you're mad. Yeah, I'd be mad too if I were a human.
And he doesn't punish you.
He doesn't. He loves me. He's like, oh, kid, I know this is hurting you. But this is necessary for you to become who I've called you to be, so I can't fix it for you. And I'm like, oh, come on, you're God. You could do anything. And he's like, yeah, I am God and I can, but I'm not going to.
And
So
so you went through your trainings as a coach,
I did.
and you obviously have some clients, I would imagine.
I do.
Okay. And so uh, opening session, what do you do?
When I first talked, well, my usually what I do is I offer them a free hour just to talk. Who are you? Where are you? What's going on with you? Most of the time, it's women who are in transition. I only work with women. Um, and they're usually someone who's, I've worked with quite a few widows. Okay, so they've lost their husband, they're divorced, their kids have moved out, they're retiring. It's all about change. It's all about women who are like, I don't know who I am now. My kids moved out, or my husband died, or I'm a divorcee. What I help them do is recognize that we're not the hats we wear.
Hmm.
Just because I wear a coach hat doesn't mean underneath that I'm just a normal woman doing everyday things, taking care of my husband, taking care of myself. So I help them find that person underneath all of those labels.
Hmm.
I feel like I don't know what to do now. And I said, okay, let's talk about that. And then I create a program for them based on who they are, where they are, and what they want.
That's fantastic. Really fantastic. Do you find that the struggle is still real for women in America?
Oh,
Because I, I think women are still making a few cents less than men are.
we are.
And I also, right now, I mean, I'm just seeing that, well, reproduction, I don't know exactly, I'm not here to talk politics, but for instance, I thought that reproductive rights should have been run through women first before it was decided. And of course, now you got these Epstein files, okay, where you have the most horrendous crime of all, where you victimize young unsuspecting girls. And you talk about abuse from the wealthy people.
Mhm.
So all these things that I see, and so I would imagine a young teenage girl who is scared
Mhm.
and is obviously they have an enormous amount of peer pressure to meet
True.
this guy, to have sex, to go ahead and take the drugs and all that. And, eventually one thing, and if they're not careful, do you think it's the family structure, not so much the male dominated society, that's hurting women?
Oh, that's a good question. Um, I don't think that you can say it's one or the other. I think it has to, well, I think a lot of it has to do with where we've come from as a society over generations. So, generationally, women have been taught to be quiet. Like I was taught years ago that a good girl,
Mhm.
she doesn't talk back. She shares the last piece of cake. She overgives. She doesn't rock the boat. And so, if that's what I learned from my great grandmother, who taught my grandmother, who taught my mother, who taught me,
Mhm.
somebody along the line has to use their form of critical thinking and say, hey, wait a second,
Mhm. Mhm.
this doesn't make sense to me. But if you are that person, then you're going to have to face a lot of pushback. So, as I watched my dad, who was an old male, and I watch our society with many old men who
Mhm.
think old, who are, I think they might be afraid of women's power, but I don't think women want to hurt men. I think we just want to be acknowledged.
Mhm.
So I think parents have tried to quiet the women more than the boys, because it's like, oh, boys will be boys.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like, oh, just, you know what, just ignore that. It's like, no, no. Accountability, it's the accountability that, or the lack of accountability that has allowed these kinds of behaviors to continue. And that starts in childhood.
Wow.
So, whatever we are allowed to do in childhood, male or female, we just carry that same behavior into the world. So, it's like, hey, it's no big deal. I never got in trouble for it before.
Mhm.
And then you live in a society that's run by rich billionaire men who say, I never got in trouble before. I'm not going to get in trouble now.
Mhm.
And I have a heart for social justice. Boy, let me tell you, when I was a teenager, I was going to walk the lines. I was going to save the poor. I was going to walk down the middle of Santa Ana, fighting for the rights of the blacks. And my mother was like, oh my God. Oh, no, you are not. No, I just have, I just feel like we need to stand up for people who are being harmed.
Okay.
And yet the price is often very high.
It
But
is.
at, but at the end of the day, I don't want to go to bed and go, I could have said something, but I let fear stand in my way, and now they have been harmed. I can't do it. I don't want to do it.
Mhm. And do you think that I mean, what are the messages do you think are out there for teenagers? Especially, I have a lot of teenage students,
Mhm.
and I mean, I don't know all of them, but some of them come close to me, and they say that their families are really the biggest problem. It just sounds
They,
like that.
well, that's where we learn our coping skills.
Yeah, I mean, and you come from a family. I mean, I'm saying your dad was rather mean.
Yes,
Sounds like your mom really probably was scared of the dad.
she was scared of my dad, so
Yeah,
she
and
didn't
when you're
protect us.
she didn't protect you.
Mm-mm.
So when you come in a scenario like that, I would imagine that that's horrifying for a young girl. That's
It
horrifying.
is. It is. And I was raised with a nervous system that has always been on high alert.
Mm-hmm.
I am all, even now, I struggle with anxiety still. I struggle with, when I hear loud voices, I'm always looking around. I'm always paying attention. It's slowly getting better
Hmm.
because I recognize that just because my body doesn't feel safe doesn't mean I'm not safe. Like nobody's going to beat me up in my marriage now, but my body has to be reminded because my brain gets it, but my nervous system is like, when he starts to yell, I immediately go back to what it was like when I was a kid when my dad was yelling, and yelling equaled abuse.
Yeah.
So now physically, I stop and go, uh-oh. And it's like, wait a minute, you're not back there. You're here now.
Hmm.
So it takes a lot of work, and most people are too afraid to do it. They don't
Hmm.
want to do the work. They want to blame somebody. It's not my fault.
Hmm.
My parents made me like this. But at some point, I heard somebody say, and I love this statement. It said, my problems may have my parents' name on them, but my solutions have my name on them.
That's right. Beautiful. Beautiful.
So I get to decide,
Hmm.
do I want to be the do I want to be the brave woman and break the chain of this family? You bet I do. Do I want to turn that rock over and look underneath it?
Hmm.
Yes, I do. Do Am I scared? Sometimes.
Hmm.
Am I nervous about what I'll find? Absolutely. But it can't get any worse than it already was. So by God, I'm going to stand up and I'm going to fight.
And so every teenage young lady out there should real, and every young woman too. And actually, you know what? Every woman should realize here we have Miss Goodson here who went through hell and back. And of course, I would imagine that your experience with your children was far more scarier than than your experience with your father and your mother.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, that's way more. So I mean, it didn't get easier for you. It got
No.
actually way worse. But yet here you are. You have four books. Can we please name the books? I know the
Okay.
first one was I wrote a testimony on it. Letting Go of Shame: A Mother's Journey Raising Addict Children.
Addict children.
Okay, what's
Yep.
the other one?
The other one is When God Whispers.
Okay, oh, that's the intuition one, right?
That's the one. But I also did the one. Yes, that's one of them. Then the third one I wrote was At the Riverbank.
At the Riverbank. Is that nonfiction?
Yeah. At the riverbank is my experience in my head when I'm scared or confused or angry.
Hmm.
In my mind, I go to the riverbank. And at the riverbank are two Adirondack chairs and God. And I have a granddaughter that said, I don't believe like you do, Grandma.
Hmm.
She said, I don't have a one concept of God. I said, honey, you don't have to have a one concept of God. I needed a God that I could see. Okay. I couldn't look at a tree. I wanted to know, I wanted to imagine that there was a person there so that that person could understand how I was feeling as a person. So I said, but don't disregard the message because she says, I read your post because I'm in the process of writing a second book
Hmm.
at the riverbank. But that's where I go when I really want to talk to somebody that will be honest with me. Like I didn't have a dad that I could
Hmm.
go to and say, this isn't right. But at the riverbank, I go and I see God. So sometimes I go and God will say, do you want a cup of coffee? And I'm like, do you have a kitchen out here? And he goes, I'm God. Yeah, I can have a kitchen out here. I'm like, oh, yeah, okay, I'll take a cup of coffee, or I asked him, one time I went to the riverbank and I had boxing gloves on, and he goes, oh, you must be really upset about something. And I said, oh, I am so here. I brought you boxing gloves. I'm ready to duke it out with you. I mean, it is so innocent. It is so childlike.
Hmm.
It's a place that I go to as a child or young adult or teenager, and I say whatever I want to say.
Hmm.
And God says, I get it. I get it.
Hmm.
So I wrote about my visits
Hmm.
to the riverbank. And
Cool.
then the fourth one that I wrote is called Fluid, Living Life with Ease and Grace.
Hmm.
And it's a lot about my story. It's about unlearning what I was taught. It's
That's
about
so hard.
the lies that I believed. It was about the voices in my head that say you're too fat or you're too ugly or you're too dumb or whatever we tell ourselves. And then I have a workbook that has scripture in the workbook so it can back it up and be used as a Bible study if people want to do it collectively as women together.
Mhm. Wow, and that is really fascinating. So, do you hold workshops, or do you have like a website, or do you? Oh, you said you took it down.
I do. I don't have a website now. I'm working on that.
Uh-huh.
I took a time out about 6 months ago when my husband was getting sicker,
Yeah.
and then he was in ICU at Loma Linda, and I thought I just can't. I couldn't concentrate,
Hmm.
so I'm getting back into doing workshops.
Hmm.
Starting the first of the year, I am going to create or have someone create for me a landing page so that people can sign up so that they can come and probably the workshops will be free.
Hmm.
and then they can decide if they want to work with me on a one-on-one, they can do that. So, but Jim, what I love about where I am in my life today
Hmm.
is that I just follow the lead. I show up. So
Hmm.
I show up like I had no idea that you were going to reach out to me. And so I just continue to show up to life every day. And the universe and God opens doors and says, hey, here, check it out. I'm like, oh, good. Okay. Yes. I don't have to hunt for it. I
Hmm.
don't have to fight for it. I just have to be, be in the moment and watch the miracles happen. And they are all around me.
You should have your own podcast.
Everybody says that, and
You
I don't know
should.
how to do it.
I will help you.
Oh, I'm so glad because you're like the fourth person that says you should be doing this. And I'm
You
like, I
should.
don't know how to do
You
it.
really should. I mean, it takes time. The audience will be very small in the beginning, but you just have to keep doing it.
Okay.
And you have to advertise, you have to market it. But we know you're the master marketer. So,
Yeah.
you should be able to do that. And I'll give that out. I'll invite you again and we can
Okay.
talk about the Susan Goodson podcast. So
I would
I'll advertise
love,
now. Everybody stay tuned for the Susan Goodson podcast coming up
I
soon.
would love that.
Put
And
you on
see,
that.
that's what's happening is have you and I talked about this prior to where I am in my life right now? I wasn't ready.
Yeah. Yeah. You have to
Emo-
be mentally, emotionally ready.
yeah. And I'm ready.
Hmm. Yeah, it's really amazing because, I have to say that the teenagers and the young adults have a lot of things happening right now. There's a shift in society. I really believe that we are losing our democracy. We are actually not losing it, but well, yeah, we are losing it, but it's in danger for sure.
It is.
Women, they're going against each other depending on ideology.
Right.
And it just seems like that they're pitting people against people, and that's we should be pitting against those who want us to fight. And
Yeah.
so I say that for every I really believe Gen Z is our last hope. I really do.
Yeah.
But it takes people like yourself, people like myself, I guess, the previous generations to
Right.
show them that and tell them that because we lived I mean, we may ourselves may not have had good years in the past, but the past 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s were better years than now.
Yeah. It
Or just,
wasn't, there wasn't so much noise. There's
no,
a lot of noise right now, and I don't think people know how to quiet the noise
no,
outside of themselves,
no.
and they get confused.
And the media is the biggest monster of them all. They're telling us to fight each other.
I
Fox
know.
News, you got MSNBC, let's fight each other. If so,
Yeah.
but I'm glad that you are working to heal people
Thank
because
you.
obviously it's a much needed, and I think you'll be busier and busier as the years go by. So, anyways, so pretty much that's all we have the time for. But I want to say this that it's been an honor, a pleasure. And I'm so
Thank
glad
you.
we reconnected. And of course, I would have you on. You're the first person I thought about.
Oh, I
And when I
love
was
it. Thank
going through
you.
my Facebook pages. So, once again, we have the books listed. Okay, you
Right.
can see it below. It's the first one is called Fluid Workshop. Okay, the other one is called Letting Go of Shame, A Mother's Journey Raising Addict Children. Trust me, everybody, that book will knock you on your ass. Okay, it is a really great book. The riverbank at the riverbank,
Yep.
which
Hmm.
is her, I guess, communication with God.
It is.
And of course when God whispers, which I
And
think.
they're all available on Amazon.
And I tell everybody, all my students, you don't know what to do with your life. Sometimes you just have to be still. Just be still, quiet
Yes.
your mind, and let the answers come.
Yes. Yes. Like I said, we have the answers. We just don't have the questions. I'm the
Yeah.
one that asked the questions.
And we have the help. The universe gives us the help we wanted. We just have to learn how to download them. It's available to
Exactly.
download. So, at any
Exactly.
rate, this was an amazing. It's going to be hard to top this
Oh,
podcast. So I'm going to say that it's been a pleasure. I've learned a lot.
thank
You
you.
had an amazing story. And like I said, I'm not too much of a Bible person, but remember the book of Job where he was tried like crazy,
Yeah,
You know, he was tried and tried and tried and tried, and so he tried, but eventually he came forth as gold.
absolutely. And we all do. We all do.
We all do. So, Susan, I want to thank you so much.
Jim,
And,
thank you.
You can find this podcast on Apple Podcasts, okay, and Spotify. This is Jim Haig, over and out.
Thank you.